Let me see if you're here. All right, let me pull it up. Okay, I think I'm actually all ready to go. Sometimes my phone does not pull up as quickly as I'd like it to, but it did today. So I'm good. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Because I can't hear me. Okay, so today, the deal is today, yes, we are going to have a drawing. I love drawings. I love giveaways. I love free stuff. But you have to make a comment or I don't know who you are. So, looks like I got something going on over here. There we go. You have to make a comment, and if you watch live, you'll get your name in the drawing twice. If you watch recorded, you're still going to be in it. You're still going to be in the drawing, meaning I won't draw any names out until tomorrow afternoon. Okay, that'll give everybody plenty of time to watch. But if you're here live, make sure you make a comment. Oh, I see a lot of you are making comments. So it's not going to count if all you do is like it or love it. I'd rather you love than like. I mean, got to feel the love. But you have to say something. So if you don't know what to say, just say, hi from Pennsylvania. It can be anything. It can be anything at all. But you have to say something or I don't know that you're there. All right, we have Rhonda from Arkansas. And Evelyn, you're watching, but you haven't said anything, so it's not going to show up later. And Pat, Alice. Okay, Alice says she can hear me loud and clear. Clear in Washington. I must be shouting pretty loud. And Judy from Pennsylvania. Whoops, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. You know, you only have to just slightly touch things and it goes crazy, right? So I hesitate to touch anything because it's going to foul some things up. Does it ever do that for you? It does for me. Okay, Hi, Judy. I'm so glad I found you. I'm glad you found me too. I'm glad you're here. Karen is from Bristol, Indiana. Oh, Valerie, you're such a loyal lady. I'm so glad you're here. In the UK, Valerie, it is midnight, right? And she is very loyal. She watches every week. I really appreciate that. And Randy's from Missouri. And Deanna, yes, my daughter visited last weekend. When she visits, sometimes she brings her scissors with her. So yes, my hair is shorter. It'll grow though. It'll grow. It'll come back. Okay. Yes, my computer's saying something else. Thank you so much for joining. Isn't it amazing, Valerie, that you can hear me loud and clear in the UK? And I am right here in my studio. I mean, they can't even hear me outside, and yet you can hear me in the UK. How exciting. Alice said she's been working in her sewing room all day, working on a new zipper pattern she just downloaded. I love zipper patterns. I'm all there for you. And Alice, I know that you brought up a Biani bag. Could we do one? And I just pulled out my Bianis. I finally got around to it. And yes, I have one. So I'll be announcing that very soon as we come up with a day to do that. And I'm going to pick a very easy one because I think that's where we need to start with the Bianis because they are so involved and yet so well written. I love her patterns. The next TENS is going to be on the 20th. I don't have my calendar in front of me. I have to look. So it will be next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. Someone asked, Evelyn wanted to know when the next TENS was. It's next Wednesday on the 20th. Sometimes I have to look at the calendar because I don't know if the 20th is on a weekday, weekend. I don't know because I forget. Alice, have you never done a Biani pattern? I know that you purchased 2 that I was teaching. I thought you watched them. Judy, yes, some of the Biani bags are hard, but if you take it, you know the saying, inch by inch, life's a cinch, mile by mile, life's a pile. Well, those are the ones you take pretty much one line at a time. You just do exactly what she says. But we'll go through one of the easier one, and then if you want to go into a more difficult one, I'm happy to do that. All right. Hey, I have a funny little thing that somebody posted on the internet today on Facebook, and I've seen it a couple of times. Stop it. I wish I had my computer was voice activated because I could, when I said stop it, it would listen. This one I've seen a few times, but it is very worth it. I loved it. It says, knock, knock. Who's there? Needle. Needle who? Need a little more fabric, please. Have you seen that one? That one makes me smile. You guys are all noticing my haircut. Oh, I know I feel a little bald. I feel like I don't have anything. Okay, so this weekend I told you we went to Peach Days, and Peach Days is over in Brigham City, and I'll get this straightened. Oh, it's a mirror. It doesn't work that way. My cute little daughter-in-law, Mikkel, has wanted to go to Peach Days, so she got a few of us to go, and we had to have peach shirts. So we don't have matching shirts, but this is the one she picked out for me because it's just peachy. And I love it. I thought it was really cool. And yes, we went and we had peach cobbler. That's why she goes. And I say, Mikkel, I can make peach cobbler. And she says, oh, I got to have it during Peach Days. So we went and it was great. Vicki from Texas is here. And Debbie from Daytona Beach, Florida. Yep, you're seeing the design the right way. But when I'm looking in the camera here, I'm all twisted. It's like looking in a mirror. It just doesn't work for my head. Thank you. I love the shirt too. I've got to put it away and get it out next September for Peach Days. Roseanne says she told that joke several times today. I love it. I totally love it. If any of you missed it, I'm going to do it again. It says, knock, knock. Who's there? Needle. Needle who? Need a little more fabric, please. Don't we always need a little more fabric? I tell you, I've been working on a new pattern and I got it all finished yesterday. So I'm going to make up a kit and I'm going to do the class. And I really like it. And so it seems I have to make a second one. I went in my stash. I said, I no doubt have something. I have so much in there. And it's so hard to pick. So you always need a little more fabric. I mean, that's not even a joke. That's a true statement. Judy says, I make peach cobbler and peach pie all summer. Well, we just bought us some peaches, some really good peaches at Peach Days. And I'm going to go have one in a minute. They are so yummy. Some of them were a little hard. They take a few more days to ripen, but oh, I love a fresh peach. And we have 2 peach trees. One died this year, and the second one did not bear any fruit. And it's a big tree. 0 fruit, nothing. So we don't have any of our own fresh peaches, and I love peaches. Hey, Nancy, dinner is over, huh? Oh, my heck. All right, so I'm going to remind you again, I'll probably remind you several times, if you want to be entered in the drawing, then you need to make a comment. You can tell us what you had for breakfast. It doesn't even matter. Just make a comment. Otherwise, I don't see you. If it will tell me that so many people are watching, but it doesn't tell me who you are. And I can't enter you in the drawing. If you're watching live, you will get entered in twice. If you are just watching the recording, which is great, I'm glad to have you here, you'll get entered in once. And I will do the drawing tomorrow afternoon. So you've got, close to 24 hours to have that done. Okay. Oh, Judy said she's originally from Georgia, and I miss those peaches from Fort Valley. I know they lost a lot this year due to the crazy weather. Yeah. All right, I can see that Carol made a funny comment here. She says, I'm here and I'm not biased. So you'll notice the title on our thing today, bias or no bias. She said she's not biased. Okay, that's going to make more sense in a few minutes. All right, I want to share another thing with you that I have really pretty wonderful kids. And they love my husband, their dad. They love him to pieces. He can do no wrong. On the other hand, I can. Okay? I don't know if it's that way at your house, But they think that my husband, their dad, Larry, walks on water, and he pretty much does. He's pretty wonderful. Um, but last spring, well, I don't even know how to preface this. He's just so funny. He just says really funny things, and he doesn't realize to say it, but we all laugh because he's so funny. Sometimes his name's Larry, but he has this alter ego named Steve. And sometimes the kids will just call him Steve. And there's a funny story behind that, but I don't think there's time enough to tell you that one today. So Steve / Larry likes to wear his cowboy hat. And so then we went and got him some cowboy boots to go with his cowboy hat. And then last fall, he started growing a mustache just because the kids were egging him on to get a mustache. I don't like the mustache. He shaved it. I don't like it. So he's got his cowboy hat, he's got his mustache, and he's got his cowboy boots. Okay? I mean, we don't have a horse. We do have a neighbor who has a horse, but he kind of grew up, we both grew up kind of in and out of farms and everything. So that's what we grew up with. And he talked to the boys one day and he said, yeah, I want a picture taken of me. And he got his old 22 out. I think it's a 22. I'm not a gun person. Got his 22 out and he said, yeah, we need to have a picture. So they went up to our neighbor's who has a horse. He climbed on the horse and he took a picture of him with his 22 and his cowboy boots and his hat on. And I think he has his poncho on too. So he looks like a cowboy. So he's sitting on this horse for this picture. And then after he had the picture taken, he said, well, when do I get a picture of it? He wanted one on the wall. And it's taken him a long time to get it done because they're kind of busy boys, right? And they finally got it done. I'm going to show you the picture, but you have to realize he's so excited about this that they sent him a proof of the picture, just a simple proof of it. And he printed that out on the computer and he wanted to hang it up on the wall. Well, it's not even a good picture. Well, they finally this weekend presented him with his final picture and he was beside himself. He's so proud of this picture. And they put it in a really nice frame. So I'm going to pull it up and show it to you. And it's big. And you have to realize the only thing in the picture that's real is him and the horse and the mountains behind. So let me show it to you. Here's what it is. So you can see there's a buffalo there. That buffalo wasn't there. And there's even a snake in the grass. They were so proud of that snake. And they put an eagle up there in the sky. They put a train back there and they put horses and men behind him. The only thing that was there was Larry on his horse. And he is so proud of this. So when they presented this to him, he was so excited. So yes, he has this above our fireplace. That's where it's going to be. He would hang it outside for everybody to see if he could. Because he is so proud of it. And I like it too. He's a funny guy. All right. It is a pretty cool picture, isn't it? And the boys are so proud because it's got a snake and a train. And he says, we put that in there, don't you? And I said, I get it. All right. I told you a joke. I have something to make you think. And I have a fun fact. Okay. Do you want a fact or do you want to think first? All right. Let me go with the thinker. Okay, now I'm gonna probably read this twice because you got to think about it. It's really not deep. But I want to say it twice because I want to. If you clean your vacuum cleaner, you're making your vacuum cleaner, and you're a vacuum cleaner. Do you like that? If you clean your vacuum cleaner, you're making your vacuum cleaner, and you're a vacuum cleaner. Is that too deep? Is that funny? Is that what? I don't know. All right, here's another one. Now this is the fun fact. And I read this and I thought, really? Okay, did you know horror movies use tracks that include infrasounds? Infrasounds. They cannot be heard by human ears, but they are known to induce anxiety and heart palpitations. Does anybody out there like horror movies, scary movies? I kind of don't. And maybe that's why. It causes me anxiety and heart palpitations. Whoa, did you know that? Crazy. Maybe you guys already knew that. I know there's some people that love, oh, funny Evelyn. She said she gotta love the clean jokes. The vacuum cleaner, got it. Some people love scary movies. I am not one of them. I just assume, in fact, I like to know how the movie's going to end. I've told you this before. I know I'm crazy. Thrillers, yes, no scaries. No, what is the difference between horror, thrill, and scary? I go to a movie to relax. I like a little fun, but I don't want to be sitting on the edge of my seat. I don't mind a twist and a turn in there, but I don't know. I don't like horror movies. And in fact, someone was telling me today, oh, I had lunch with Teresa Johnson, and Teresa's not here right now, but she probably will be. We had a nice little visit, but we were talking about kind of gory things. Something came up and we were talking about gory things. And I kind of can't talk about that. It kind of makes me sick. Don't want to do it. I'm not a blood and guts person. I mean, I just told you I don't like guns. So if that was a 22 in his arm, could have been, I don't know. I think in my entire life, I mean, my dad was a hunter. We had antelope and deer all the time. I don't really like them. And I don't like guns. I've only shot a gun maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. And it's not something I'm saying, oh, I can't wait to do that again. No, that's not me. I'm not a gun person. I feel like everybody has a right to have a gun though. So, I mean, that's a political thing. I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying, I just don't like to have guns around me. All right. I've covered all the big stuff. In fact, I've covered lots of big stuff. Hi, Mickey. Hey, we've missed you, Mickey. I haven't seen you in a while. So you're not in California this week. You're not visiting your mom, right? Kelly says she can't stand scary, evil, intense, anything. I have nightmares for a week from hearing the tune from The Walking Dead. I've never watched The Walking Dead, so I don't know. I kind of stay away from those very same things too. In fact, remember when Poltergeist came out? I think there's been more since then. That one, I can't watch at all. I can't even hear about it. I don't even want to hear about it. And the reason is because we lived in a haunted house. We actually lived there for 4 years, and we knew it was possessed, haunted, whatever you want to say. We knew there were demons there, and we couldn't move. We tried several times, and every time we thought, oh, because we make plans, we're going to build a house, we're going to buy it here, we're going to do whatever. It didn't work. It always fell through. So the only way we got out of there was we built a spec home intending to sell it. So the whole time we were going to sell it. And then we realized the market was down. It was probably not going to sell. So we decided, okay, we're moving tomorrow. That's the only way we got out of that house, is because we didn't tell them we were leaving. We just left. And when I had to go back and clean, I would not go there unless I had somebody with me, because I thought, I'm going to get in there, they're going to lock the doors, and I will never get out. Oh, another story for another day, right? All right, I have probably told you more than what I need to tell you. All right, should we get on to what we're going to talk about? I'll put my things away. All right, reminder, you have to say something in order for your name to pop up so that you can be entered in the drawing, okay? And I will announce the drawing tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow's Friday, because today's Thursday. I love it, love it. So today is weekend eve, because tomorrow's really weekend, right? Isn't Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Don't you consider Friday part of the weekend? I do, because I start getting all excited for whatever we have plans for. Even if it's nothing, even if I just get to do something different, it kind of breaks up the weekend. I really love it. So where did I go with that? Today is weekend eve. And we are going to have a drawing, and I'll draw tomorrow, and I'll make the announcement tomorrow. And then whoever that lucky person is will get something fun. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I know, I love that picture too. Totally love it. He's a crazy guy. He shaved his mustache right after that picture because I couldn't stand it. I thought it made him look older. Donna Judd said, I want to stay a night at the Myrtles in Louisiana. Just curious. Must be a haunted house. Okay, Kelly said thank goodness tomorrow was Friday. I went on a sewing retreat with 7 sewing friends last week for my birthday and have still not recovered. Happy birthday, Kelly. I tell you, when I got back, hi, Lynn. When I got back from Baby Lock Tech, I was there for a week. It probably took me 5 days to get my feet back underneath me. And my feet were still swollen. How about that? But it did. I mean, we were running the whole time I was there. And Lisa said, my dad was a horseman too. Quarter horses, lots of trail rides for us. I loved horses, loved them. We had horses when I was a kid. We just haven't had any since we got married. Oh, tell us more what, Sherry? There is so much I could tell you. The Myrtles in, I'm going to have to Google that, Kelly, where it says the Myrtles. The Myrtles, I'll have to go back. A haunted plantation. You really want to get into that? Well, maybe the reason I don't want to go places like that is because I know they're real. It's not just a story somebody's making up. It's absolutely real. And you know it. They're there, and it's scary. Well, I need to stop talking, or I won't sleep tonight. All right, here's what I want to talk about today. Are you ready for this? I wonder if I'm ready. Let me see if I can push you around here. All right, I am going to come down here. Okay, I want to talk about bias binding compared to, let me pull this over first. So right here, I have an end-to-end sew on this, okay? And this was a piece of binding I was using, but I want to show you what happens when you do it that way. So this was left over from one of the quilts that I did, and I just used the end of the fabric that I was not using for the back of the quilt. It was already sewn together on the selvages, and I was just going to use that same fabric that I had left over to bind it with. But it was already sewn end to end like this for the backing. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm just going to use this. I'm not going to recut it and sew it on the bias, but I'm going to show you a reason why you don't want to do that. That's one thing I'm going to show you. The next thing I want to show you is how to do a bias binding, but I also want to point out, you see right here I have this pressed to one side. I didn't open the seam and press it open. I did not do that because when anytime you do a binding, you've got a lot of wear and tear right there on the edge. You're going to have a lot of wear and tear. And if you open the seam, that's going to weaken that point right there, because you'll see that if I pull on that, I'm just going to see threads, right? So obviously on this side, when there's wear and tear, if you have wear and tear on a little row of stitching, it's going to wear out faster than if you have fabric. So whenever I do a seam on my binding, I always press it to the side, right like that. So, but I'm going to show you why you don't want to do this kind when you're doing a binding. Now right here I have a border, and I do have a seam in there. I did not open the seam when I put it on here. This is nothing more than piecing like you would down in here. It's nothing more than this right here. It's just a border. So borders I often do end to end. Sometimes I don't. And one of the examples I did on this one is that I did a bias binding or bias border right here. It doesn't have to be done that way. It's going to look great either way you do it. I still press my seams to one side. I think it makes them stronger. There are times that I would press my seams open, but not very often. I know that that's really a personal preference. There are some quilters that will always press their seams open. I do not. Yep, I do too, Judy. She says she prefers the bias as it lays smoother. Definitely. And Kelly's on the bias camp. And Lisa says she serpentine stitches on the border. I use that a lot, and I love that stitch. I do too, but you know how I love to machine bind my quilts. And so this one is just a straight stitch. I could have used a serpentine, definitely. But I use my straight stitch because I do my quilt binding foot. And it's just so beautiful, and it's so easy to do. All right, so here's the difference if you're going to do a bias on a border. You don't have to. This is the one that I just did that way, just for kicks. This one and a border, I have simply gone end to end. And it's really nothing more than piecing, like down in here. So why not? You can do end to end, because you're not going to fold this over and try to stitch over it. It's simply going to be just like a piecing stitch. Nothing's different. All right. So, but if I were doing binding, I'm going to show you why I would not do this way as compared to doing it this way. All right, I have two pieces of binding right here. And when they tell you to do it on the diagonal or the bias, this is what they mean. You're going to have right sides together, and you're going to put them like that. So normally I'm going to extend this up a little bit and extend this out a little bit. That helps me know from what point I'm going to sew to this point. Okay, that's the reason I extend it just a little bit. And if I were doing this, I would put 2 pins in it. I know I have seen some people that say, and they call it, I don't know, the square. I think I don't do it that way. Some people will pin all the way around it. But if I do it that way, sometimes when I get over to my sewing machine, I forget which direction I'm sewing, because maybe it's already connected to the quilt. And when it's connected to the quilt and you go over to sew it, you can't really tell which way it's going. So by habit, I'm going to put 2 pins in there just like that. Now, if I wanted to, and if I'm going to be sewing on the Solaris today, the Baby Lock Solaris, if I had my Destiny, my Altair, or my Solaris, I could just put my guide beam down and guide it down. If you are more comfortable on your machine to draw a line, you can draw a line. It's however you feel more comfortable doing. I actually don't even draw a line. I don't even use my guide beam when I do this, because I can eyeball it from there to there, and I'm okay with that. But I'm going to go over to the machine. I'm going to stitch this down. And I'm using black thread, so you're going to be able to see it. And I have my needle in the center needle position. Whoops. All right, so I have that all sewn together. 1 minute, I'm going to move Larry. He was in my way. All right. So Kelly says, I love the fabric. Do you mean this one right here? This is what I bound that 30s looking quilt that my grandma had done. And this is what I put the back on and bound it. So I thought it really looked good with it. All right, so now I've got that done. And I've done it on the diagonal or the bias, however you want to look at it. And now I'm going to, you see how perfect that is when I go from that corner to that corner? If you did not know there was a seam there, you really wouldn't be able to tell. Kind of cool, huh? Okay, now I'm going to go over to my iron. I'm going to press that in one direction. Once again, I am not going to press this open, because then it leaves those threads vulnerable to wear, and I don't want that. So I'm going to press this to the side, and I'm also going to repress my seam. So if I were doing the binding, I probably would not have pressed this even in half until I got all my seams done. And I know that some of you are saying that that you love bias binding. This is not bias binding. It's not cut on the bias. It's simply sewn on the bias. So if I'm doing binding on a straight piece, I don't do bias. If I'm going to have curves or like a scalloped edges or anything with a curve, I am definitely going to do a bias, but on this, I'm not going to. All right, so I am going to just go over to my machine and I'm going to sew this. This is an old piece of fabric that I had left over from a Biani quilt or a Biani bag. All right, so I am going to just sew this down on that side. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to give that a little press again. I just want to show you the difference when you're doing a straight cut or a straight end-to-end fabric or a bias. So this is the bias and this one's going to be my end-to-end. I'm going to sew them both down just on these edges, and then I'll come back over here and show you what we're going to be up against. So of course this is just a pretend quilt. I'm going to put my needle in right hand position, and when I'm on the baby locks, my right hand position, that's going to put this needle in 1/4 inch from the edge of my J foot. So I don't even switch out my foot when I do binding, or when I ever do 1/4 inch. Okay, I want to make sure I get that seam right where we're going to sew. Okay, whether you do it by hand the next step, or if you do it by machine, it's really not going to make a whole lot of difference in what I talk about here. Now you notice that when I sewed across there and when I sewed across there, it really wasn't an issue because it was just a simple seam. This one has a double seam there. This one does not, because if you'll notice, the bias goes from this point over to here. So both ends, they don't cross each other. So those seams go like that when you're on the diagonal. That's what makes that one so nice. So even though my machine breezed over that, it still had to go over 2 seams. Right here, the 2 seams are on top of each other. This is not the fun way to do it, okay? And I'm going to show you why. Because now, when I bring this around to the front, whether you're doing it by hand, whether you're doing it by machine, you only have 1 seam to go through. You don't have a double seam. Whereas on this side, when I pull it over, it's going to be difficult to sew through that because I've got a double seam on this side, I have a double seam on that side. So that's a lot of seams to go through. Besides, I've got a heavy quilt in between. And it's going to look okay. Even if I do it, it will still look okay. So if you don't have a lot of choices and that's what you have, then don't sweat it too much. It's just that it's going to be more difficult and you make it a little bump in there. So let me go back over to my machine. I'm not going to switch out my foot. I'm just going to stick with my 1/4 inch foot, my J foot here. And I'm just going to do a simple seam because I'm not going to, it's not a quilt. Okay, you probably heard that that worked out pretty good. All right, I'm going to go to the other side, and this is the one that has the end-to-end connection on it, and it's right here. So you're going to notice a big difference. Now, I would guess that you're not able to hear as well as I could hear just now, but I'm going to try to point this out. So right here, we've got a smooth binding right here. Over here, I got a bump. I don't like that bump. You can even see where it kind of came up right there. You can definitely tell where I joined those end to end. And if you notice on the machine, it actually had a little bit of a hard time going over that. Not that it was difficult, but it would be easy to understand why my machine would skip a stitch there, because it has to pierce through all of that fabric. So one thing I would do, if I had to do it this way, I would move my needle into the left-hand position, because then it would have an easier time going in and out and catching the bobbin underneath. But I definitely would not do it that way. So I don't know if I've convinced anybody or sold anybody on it, but that's how I feel about doing a binding on the bias to put them together, or on an end-to-end. I would definitely not do end-to-end. Does anybody else have that opinion, or is it just me? I have really never seen anybody who did the bias binding on end-to-end. Unless it was totally necessary, that's all the fabric they had and they had to do it. Because I don't like how it looks. You can see that little bump right there. And you can feel that bump. I don't like it. Whereas over here, you really can't even tell where I've been. Okay, I like it that way. Evelyn said from the side view, we could see the sewing foot going over the bump. Yep, you could. I don't like that bump. Donna says, I don't think I've ever done end-to-end. I have, when I was down on fabric, I have done that. I didn't like it. And I only did it once. And I thought, I'm not doing this again. Not at all. Hey, you guys are paying attention. Alice wants to know on the end foot, you're not, what are you using the end foot for? Because I'm using the J foot. It's a 1/4 inch from the right if you're in the right hand needle position. If you wanted to be on the left hand needle position, then the edge of the fabric and the 1/4 inch is going to be the edge of the foot on the left hand side. So they have, the J foot has this covered. It's really an all-purpose foot if you wanted, if you couldn't change out. So if you're just wanting to use one foot, J foot's the one to go, because you're going to get a 1/4 inch on the left and a 1/4 inch on the right. Now, if you're doing a scant 1/4 inch, you know that you have to bump your needle over, and every time you do one bump, it's 1 millimeter. So if I were doing a scant 1/4, and I actually did a quilt once where the designer had their scant 1/4 inch, and it was a difficult pattern to do. And her scant, she says, do a scant 1/4 inch, but hers was a different scant than the last one I had done. So I really stick with 1/4 inches. But she had wedges she was putting together, and because her scant was scantier than mine, that the wedges didn't work out. So I had to go back and figure out what her scant 1/4 inch was. So it would be really nice if they would give you a measurement to know what their scant was going to be. So I always kind of just stick with 1/4 inch. It's my favorite to do. Let me see if there's any other questions. Alice says, I have a lot of pre-made bindings. I need to press the seams again so they're not open. Definitely. Okay, let me look and see if there's any. Carol says, I'm happy to see you do it all by machine. My quilt got marked down at the fair because I didn't do my binding by hand. Exactly. If you're going to have it judged, you're going to have to do it by hand. Call Alice. She'll do it for you. Promise. Hand in my book is a 4-letter word. Thank you. I don't do things by hand unless I have to. Michelle said she does her binding for most of her bindings on the J foot. Let me show you the foot that I use. If I can reach it without looking. Probably not. Oh, here it is. I use the quilt binding foot. Hi, Teresa. Teresa, you got to say something if you want to be in the drawing. Okay? She doesn't know about that yet. All right, so here is my quilt binding foot. I need to get out. I need to go down here. I need to go down here or else it won't focus. So right here, this is my quilt binding foot, and you can see it's got a little ridge right there. Maybe you can't see it so well. There is a little ridge right there, and that ridge rides along the fold of my fabric to keep that stitch right where I need it to be. I love this foot. I always did my bindings with my blind hem foot or my edge joining foot because it does have a ridge. Both of them have that flange, but that flange kept getting caught on my seams or my threads over here. So I found that if I use a quilt binding foot, I can get a straighter stitch because it is going to ride right along there. And then I just put my needle right where it needs to be. And I'll do different needle positions for different ones. But as you can see, that's just going to it's going to hang on to it and just keep it right in the right spot. My favorite foot. Oh, well, one of my favorite for different jobs, right? Oh, Nancy. Yep, let's talk about the machine markings. Let me see what else is in here. Lynn says she loves her quilt binding foot. So do I. No, Rhonda, it is not the bi-level foot. I know they look the same, but they're not. This is the quilt binding foot. There is a right and left bi-level foot. This is not it. Oh, darn. I wish I could just have you right here with me so that we could see this better. The bi-level feet, the level would start right here with the ridge. So on this one, oh dear, how can I show this to you? So on the bi-level, these 2 feet are different levels. On this one, this is the quilt binding foot. The second level does not appear until just in from that foot. You can see that right there is where that bi-level starts, right here, that different level. So that makes it so that you still have something holding that fabric down, holding your fold down, so you can stitch just inside the fold. So the bi-level, it looks the same, but they're not the same. Is the quilt, Alice wants to know, is the quilt binding foot ever used to sew the binding to the front first? I don't, no, because I want a nice, perfect 1/4 inch stitch. So the quilt binding foot would not help me if I were just sewing the binding down. It does not help. Lisa said she usually hand sews her bindings down, but not for baby quilts because they're going to be washed a lot. That's correct. And I always sew my quilts intending them to be washed a lot. And I don't want to go back and re-sew that binding. But if maybe you're a tighter stitcher than maybe what I am, I just really don't like to hand stitch. It doesn't look as good. I have to take a lot of time. And once I found out I could do it by machine, I never went back. All right. Oh, Valerie, good night. Good night. I feel like Johnny Carson. Good night, Valerie. Thank you for joining us. After you demonstrated the foot, not downloaded, download at the foot. I'm not really sure, Debbie, what you mean. After you demonstrated the foot, not download at the foot. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. And Jeanette, the quilt binding foot is fairly new. I think it came out about 3 years ago. And it was actually at a request of a Baby Lock educator because she saw a need for this because we were all using our edge joining foot. And the edge joining foot, when you went over seams, it would catch. So you're always raising and lowering and raising and lowering. And so that's why this one came about. I think Michelle says, I think there are many sizes of the binding foot. Is that right? There's only one. There's only one binding foot as far as I know. But you don't need different sizes because it has the groove on it. Well, not a groove. It's got the little lip on it. And as long as that lip rides along the fold, it doesn't matter how wide that fold is. It's always going to be the same. Ah, okay, Debbie, got it. Got it. You said you already bought that one, so that's good. I love that foot. And I will use it even if I'm doing a top stitching on anything else. It doesn't have to be on binding, even though it's called the quilt binding foot. It's a great top stitch foot too. All right. All right, Nancy has a question. Let me pop this off. And I'm going to bring it over here. Nancy has a question on this plate. And without going into a whole lot of detail, let's talk about what we have going on in here. All right, so right here you can see a 1/4 inch marking. And if you look on your plates, on your baby locks, you're going to see this very same marking. And right there, 1/4 inch, and you can see this line right here. This is the center needle position because it's right there in the center, and the center dot, that is your center needle position. This is a 1/4 inch from your center needle position. So if you're sewing in the center needle position, that's a 1/4 inch. And right back here is 5/8 of an inch. Now, if I followed this back to here, my 5/8 of an inch is not straight. Let me see if I can get something to do that with. I have some tape right here. So if I were trying to follow my 5/8 of an inch there, and I put it, this is actually what Nancy did, and then she put it on her 5/8 back there, can you see that that's crooked? Because this 5/8 of an inch is from my center needle position. This one back here is from my my right hand needle position. So right back here, the markings on the plate back here go to my right hand needle position. And I know you can't really see that really clear because my focus is not going to be, it's too faint. But your 5/8 up here is different than back here. Your 1/4 inch up here is different than back here. And that's so that you can have multiple ways to measure. So just know that that's how it works. All right. The ones on the front of the needle plate are in line with the center needle position. You can see how all of those line up. Do you see that? I can see that. So 1/4 inch is going to be the same. 5/8 is going to be the same. But when you get back here, this is according to your 1/4 inch, or excuse me, I keep saying 1/4 inch. I mean your right hand needle position, which to me is the 1/4 inch. And I don't think I can get that in the right light to show you that very well as I'm trying here. There we go. So look on your needle plate so that you can kind of understand what I'm saying. You can see that the 0 mark and the 1/4 inch and the 5/8 are all going to be in different places. All right? So that's really important for you to know. Boy, it's hard to see even as you're down here. And it looks like, okay, I was looking at that wrong, so I'm going to correct myself right here. This is from back here, it is from your left-hand needle position. Oh, I know I'm going to not get this right. Let me see if I can get that right. All right, now you see where the 0 mark is? That is, I'm looking at it backwards, and so I'm going to get this all messed up. So right over here, here is where your left-hand needle is going to be, your left needle position. There's your 0 mark. Whereas right here, this is your 0 mark on your middle stitch position. So there is your 1/4 inch from your left-hand needle position, 5/8 from left-hand needle position. And oftentimes I'm going to use the 5/8 inch from my left-hand needle position. So I'm glad they have it on this plate because then it makes it so much easier to get my stitch where I want it. Does anybody have any questions? Did anybody catch me as I was doing this backwards and doing it wrong? Because I don't want to confuse anybody. I know, Lisa, we really don't look at the plate very often. Do I happen to know the item number for the quilting foot? I will post it in here after we finish today. I do have the box right over here, but if it might take me a minute to shuffle it out. So does that explain those markings on the needle plate? I'm trying to hold it in the right light so that you can see it. And I think we kind of got it right there. So you can see where the 0 mark is. That's my left-hand needle position up here. There it is. I don't do good with mirrors, as you can see. And right down here, this is my center needle position. If these markings on this needle bobbin cover bother you, you have a blank one in your toolkit that came with your machine. You have just a blank one. I kind of ignore those markings. I don't really use them. So on my other machine, on my Destiny, all those markings have worn right off, but I don't use them anyway. The markings I use most often is just the edge of the foot. All right. All right. Take a deep breath. We've gone over a lot today. I know that we've covered a lot. That should count for next Thursday, shouldn't it? All right. Yep, Jeanette, they are different. And Kelly, I will post the number right after we finish here. All right. Michelle, I will post it because I tell you, it was a game changer for me because I was using the edge joining foot and I loved it. It was great. I did some beautiful bindings, but it kept getting caught. And I thought, well, if this is what I have to do, then that's the way it is. And I'm still going to do it. All right, I think we've covered a lot of things, and I don't see any more questions that I have missed, but I will go back. If there's something I've missed, I will definitely pick it up. Oh, Lynn, you already put it up there. All right, did you get that? Kelly got it. All right, thank you. I won't make a post about it, but that is the number of it. So now you can find that. Lynn, you are quick. You are really quick. I love that. All right, so make sure you got 2 more minutes to say something on here if you want to be entered in the drawing. All right? And the drawing is going to be something I brought back from Baby Lock Tech. In fact, I'll tell you, this is kind of funny. So they have a logo store at Baby Lock Tech. They always do, where you can buy shirts and mugs and all sorts of little things that have Baby Lock written on them. Nail files, mirrors, I mean, there's stuff. And I always buy stuff because I like to have stuff. I don't know why I have stuff. So I went to the store this one day while we were out there at Baby Lock Tech. And I know the guy behind the desk. It was Michael. And I said, Michael, I need some free logo items for giveaways. And he looked at me and he said, you know you have to pay for them, right? And I said, yes, I know that. But I wanted to use them as free stuff. So he laughed. And every time I went back there again, he'd say, do you want more free stuff? No, because they weren't giving it away. I had to purchase it actually. But anyway, I just said it wrong. Teresa, wake up, Teresa. You got a dinner to go to tonight. Love that girl. All right. I love all of you guys. In fact, I want you to know I see your names. I see posts that you make. I love it. I follow what you do. I follow every one of you. I'm a groupie, okay? I do. I follow everything that you do. And I appreciate that you participate with me. If you have friends that you want to invite on, the more the merrier. I would love to have them. And I thank you so much for purchasing the classes on my website. I had so many sales last weekend during the Labor Day sale. Was that just last weekend? I can't even remember. Maybe it was 2 weeks. Time is going by so fast. This morning, it was in the 40s when I woke up. That's cold. That's winter cold. It's winter day cold. But this was night, but never mind. It's getting very, very nippy in the mornings. All right, everybody, make your comments so I know that you're here, because that's how you get in the drawing. Otherwise, I don't know you've been here. All right. I know, Alice, all of your sewing friends are already here. Do you know, I do not have any too many friends that I had until I started doing this that were sewing friends. Not very many. I could not think of very many. But now I have lots of sewing friends. That makes it so much fun because I don't have to sew alone. I like that. All right, I have a new project coming up for you very soon. I'm excited to share with you. Maybe next week I'll be able to share some ideas about it. And I'm very excited to share more things. I've got 2 more classes coming up. I'm so excited. All right, unless you have questions or comments, I'm out of here. I'm going to go check on the ladies. They've already given me lots of eggs today, but there's always more. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I love it. Thank you so much.